Today we have Lukasz Konieczka speaking about sexual identity. He's the manager of Mosaic LGBT Youth Center. We will be speaking about coming out and what some religions make of it. Is society as open as it appears to be when it comes to homophobia? How would you explain to a young person at the school what sexual identity is?
Sexual identity is part of sexuality, as well as sexual orientation, and as well as sexual behavior. So you have people who have sexual orientation, but they are not practicing it, who are priests and they are, for instance, celibate, and therefore they still have sexual orientation, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily exercise it. Therefore, the sexual behavior is not coherent with the sexual orientation. Sexual identity is how you feel about yourself. Part of what you feel, what your sexual orientation tells you, and what your sexual behavior is kind of coherent.
How it's like to be a gay person when you have a religion? It can be particularly challenging for some people in some religions.
I think some people believe that faith is not compatible with your sexuality if it's not heterosexuality, and I personally disagree with it. I believe people should have ability to exercise their faith, and doesn't mean that belief is set in stone. It is changing over centuries. It's not very clear that homosexuality is really a sin. It's something that we have concluded and imposed upon religion. Culturally, if you believe in God that is merciful, that is going to judge you after death, then it is God who is going to be doing that. We shouldn't be doing it for him. If you're a good person and it happens that you have been in love with another man, then it doesn't mean that you're going to go to hell, because that would actually mean that you end up in the same place as a person who have been a murderer. It doesn't make any sense if you think about it, because God created me the way I am.
When did you realize this is my sexual identity?
I always knew there was something different about me. I didn't know what it's called, and I didn't know what really was me. I knew that I wasn't fitting into the kind of wider context. Sometimes a bit more worried about what other people might say and what other people might think. But then there was a time when I stopped caring and just carried on being myself. I think that process concluded for me being that, I am who I am and I am gay. Being gay for me means that I can do the work that I do, which is working with young lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans teenagers, which is vital for my identity. I belong to a community that I feel understood in and supported in. We should all contribute to that community to build it stronger.
Is society as open as it appears to be?
Well, in recent years, we record year-on-year increase in hate crime. We are definitely going through a massive shift, and there is more homophobic bullying now, I feel, because kind of schools become more and more independent. They become free schools, they become, we have quite a lot of religious schools who don't want to hear about homophobic bullying. They want to hear about homosexuality and kind of sexual diversity, as it were. And if you don't talk about it and if you don't address it, you don't prevent that bullying from happening. What you can do is to react to it once it occurs. But it already occurred, it already damaged someone. The police is getting better at it. In London, generally speaking, kind of the most common bullying that is now present is kind of using the word gay inappropriately. So would say, oh, that's so gay. Why is it right to use one identity and trash it? There's this kind of unspoken rule that some identities are more protected than the other identities. So I would kind of urge people who are managing discipline in schools to kind of go for explaining. If I say to you, you can't say it, doesn't mean that you don't think it, because you're already thinking it. You're just going to internalize that level of prejudice, which is even more dangerous, comes up as hate crime.